Hello and welcome to the SMI shooting floor on the Mahe Bengaluru campus. I'm Niret Alva and I'm here to speak about a brand new series that we're about to shoot. It's called PG Talks at SMI. We are here to speak to faculty members who are going to talk about these fantastic postgrad courses so that you know which one to apply for and which one to choose. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to PG Talks at SMI. I'm Niret Alva. With me today is Dr. Kush Patel, and he's here to tell us about a fantastic course that he heads and why you should be applying for it.
So thank you Niret for having me. The course that I lead is the MA Contemporary Art Practice. It's a brilliant course. It's the only course of its kind in the country at the moment, and it is a course which is about art and cultural production in society, both in terms of its curriculum, but also in terms of its orientation to preparing students and professionals that are increasingly needed in these cultural organizations to begin to translate various ways in which the human condition, the historical conditions connected to art get translated, get to be part of the public discourse, but also for independent artists looking to really enhance their skills, their capacity to think and engage publics more critically and widely. Okay.
Yeah. So just to ask, so I'm a potential student. Tell me a little bit about the kinds of students you're hoping will apply for this course. You covered the broad overview, but in more specific terms, you know, where should they be in their practice to be applying for a course like this?
So that's a great question. There are two sides to that question. One, that it's an MA practice, and two, it's connected to contemporary art. So unlike traditional Master of Fine Arts programs, which would require students to come with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree and a certain kind of a professional background, what the MA Contemporary Art Practice invites is a breadth of interest from students in backgrounds connected to the humanities and social sciences, to those, of course, trained in art and design practices. As long as there's an orientation to thinking and engaging with aspects of contemporary art writ broadly, connected to fine art, public art, connected to digital humanities, digital art, connected to translation and performance, connected to moving image, we welcome those interests. And we welcome interests from students who would have a very textual practice, to those who are thinking extensively with visual media, to those who would like to experiment or have experimented with mixed media as well. We also welcome students with interests in career shifts, but career shifts that are still intentional, to thinking again about their role in art and cultural institutions. And to that extent, if they've had prior experience as mediators in museums and galleries, or have had assistantships in digital libraries, thinking about the repository and the very condition of memory keeping, we welcome all and every of those interests to apply.
Okay, there are these two short forms, right? I'm a potential student. One is the EOC and the other is, you know, the statement of purpose. So I'm a student. How should I be filling up those?
So I understand students often begin to see the statement of purpose as somehow similar to the evidence of competency. But just to draw attention to what statement of purpose is, it's a much more broader statement of your orientation to postgraduate studies and postgraduate studies at Srishti Manipal. So what is it that's preparing you to move into this phase of life, and how is it opening up career possibilities for you? What the evidence of competency does, it's more specific to the course. So each course will have its own either prerequisites or ways in which to emphasize a certain kind of a specificity to that orientation. In the MA Contemporary Art Practice, what we require the evidence of competency to do is two things. One, a portfolio of about 5 to 7 works. As I said, these could be textual, these could be visual, these could be mixed media, these could be experiences that you've had with art and cultural institutions more broadly. These could be written theses or excerpts therein, wherein certain kind of criticality and an orientation to thinking of contemporary art and its role in examining and unraveling the human condition might be possible. And the second component is the textual component, which is where the students would take the statement of purpose but locate it specifically in the context of contemporary art as they wish to locate themselves, even if it's with questions that they have many more lingering with them at this stage as they think of applying to the program. And what's wonderful about both the textual and the portfolio components is that it models the very essence of the MA Contemporary Art practice, which is where we see writing and art making as not oppositional domains. So we really think, and we encourage students to think of those media as interrelated, as co-constitutive. And if anybody else has any questions, they could definitely reach out to me for further.
Okay, so I'm a student who's completing this course. What are the different possibilities? What are the avenues that open out for me when I conclude this MA in Contemporary Art Practice?
So the MA Contemporary Art Practice is oriented to the GLAM sector. It's an emerging sector which stands for galleries, libraries, archives, museums. These institutions are recognizing the need for professionals to be part of their team, to be able to interface with publics, to be able to translate works of art, to be able to communicate their diverse value, their historical value, but to be able to also proposition new ways of being in the world. In addition to that, we also prepare students who are thinking of careers in academia, publishing. MA is an MA in Contemporary Art Practice is a wonderful stepping stone to pursuing PhDs. And of course, we invite artistic practitioners who would wish to either expand or deepen aspects of their practice, again, connected to fine art, public art, or even open themselves up to thinking of its connections with digital art, digital humanities, text and performance, and moving image practice.
Okay. If I were to just ask you a question in terms of what these 2 years pan out like, I've just joined the course, what would it look like? What would my next 2 years look like? Of course, it depends on the choices I make, where I'm coming from, my position, but if you can broadly sketch this 2 years at SMI pursuing this course.
Definitely not boring. And students right from the get-go will be introduced to various ways of imagining the relationship of theory and practice in the world of contemporary art, for example. So the first year of the course is inviting students to be led through studios, seminars, transdisciplinary research projects, and to begin to think of how theory and practice come together. It's much more tightly structured, just so that it creates a foundation for all of the different ways in which, again, the practices of fine art, public art, digital humanities, moving image art, and text and performance come together. The second year shifts to a much more of a mentorship model, where we begin to invite students to make individual claims to theory-practice relationships. So this is where they begin to do a deep dive into one or more of those practices and create a kind of an ownership of their creative practice as it would translate not just in the program, but also moving forward.
Okay, so Kush, just one question, because a lot of people are asking this, right? AI is present at every table, in every meeting. It's this ghost hanging in the air. How are you going to work with AI in this course?
One of the things that I didn't get to discuss with you, Niret, is as much as we're opening up a vocabulary of creative practice connected to contemporary art, we're also grounding that vocabulary in discourses in art history, in critical technology studies, in cultural studies, in translation literary studies, and in gender and sexuality studies. And the reason I bring this up is then it builds the capacity of students to engage and to think of the relationship to technology critically. So within the contemporary art practice, we approach technology not as a technical object, but as a cultural object. And AI, being one of the manifestations of that, allows us to interrogate, to examine, to treat it with criticality, but as much as with curiosity, and to not take those tools for granted, or not to let that imagination guide one's creative endeavors. So as long as one is mindful of what these tools, among other tools, are doing, whether they are amplifying your work or whether you would like to have a different kind of an epistemological relationship to that work, we invite those engagements.
Kush, a final word, that's your camera. Speak into that as if you're speaking to potential students and tell them what they can expect if they join.
Well, as I said, you'll expect a lot of excitement, new learning. The course will challenge a lot of your assumptions about contemporary art, but also introduce you to build new capacities to practice as creatives in the world of art and cultural production, connected to cultural organizations, but also to enhance your own practice. So when you apply with intention, apply with curiosity. Do not shy away from the fact that if your portfolio is entirely textual, that's fairly valid sort of form to begin to engage ideas with. We are not promoting a certain kind of a medium right up front to begin to define what this would translate into for you. But we want a certain kind of an orientation to why, again, thinking about art and cultural production matters to you. So apply again with intention, with curiosity, with excitement, and an eagerness to learn, and you will not be bored at all.
Kush Patel, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Niret. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.